A lot of these people are not in control of their own perception. And this is why, you know, what they do a lot is they'll target someone. What they want to know is who's got the bloodline and who hasn't. Because this bloodline genetics won't manifest itself in cold-blooded behavior and all the rest of it that we see unless those codes are open. It's like having a computer. It's got lots of codes, but unless you open them, it doesn't affect the computer screen. In other words, the reality of the computer. You have to open it. And what they do is target a lot of these people this is why they want a DNA database. They want to know who's got it and who hasn't. And that gives them, obviously, a great way of finding out. And then they target these people, and suddenly these people who know nothing about it, they're suddenly sponsored by very powerful people, and they become big in politics and law and all the rest of it. And through that, they get pulled into the secret society network, and they go through these rituals, and they think it's just some, you know, ancient ritual, it's just tradition. They don't realize that what these rituals are designed to do is to affect them genetically, to open these codes. And how that manifests itself in experience is of seeing people who, for instance, came into politics with a good intent to try to make a positive contribution, and they end up, after a while, being the absolute epitome of everything they came into politics to challenge, because there's been a process of personality takeover. It's not always for that reason, but that's one of them. So what we're looking at, I would suggest, but you know, people make of it what they will, are fields where we decode the human one, but behind it is another one that looks anything but human. And someone sent me this picture. I don't know who it's of, but he's got very reptilian-type eyes. And a friend of mine has been working recently with someone who's been involved in a big iris scanning technological program. Not something I agree with, I have to say, iris scanning, but what he found, and he's into none of this stuff, what he found as these people looked very closely at 2,300 eyes, to their amazement, in his estimation, about 4% of the eyes they looked at were of reptilian type and appearance. All over the internet, people have started talking about this now, and these pictures are circulating. This might be probably is just a trick of the light, but it's very symbolic of what we're looking at. That was on the front of the 14 Times, taking the piss out of me. I thought, thank you very much. Nice picture. I'll have that. Very symbolic. And it's all these other people and all that stuff. And another thing that you find is a number of therapists have sent me pictures. This is a common theme. Therapists working with satanically abused people, trying to get their minds back after all this abuse, and sexually abused people that have been in these mind control projects. And it's a very consistent theme that when these people who've been victims of this, they use a lot of drawing to try to draw out their memories. Again and again, what they draw are people with reptilian eyes. These are actually drawn by a satanically abused person, and these were sent to me with their permission by their therapist. Again, Roman Polanski was talking from knowledge, shall I put it, when he made that film Rosemary's Baby in the 60s with Mia Farrow. And for anyone who doesn't know about that, if you can get hold of a copy, it's worth watching. Mia Farrow is pulled in unknowingly because they want her to interbreed with one of these non-human entities to give birth to a child of the bloodline. And this satanic group get hold of her, and they put her under mind control, and they impregnate her and stuff. And towards the end of the film, when she starts to realize what's going on, she goes into this apartment where it all went on, and memories start to come back, and she sees the baby she gave birth to in a non-conscious state, and you have a quick flash of it in the movie, and it's a reptilian baby with reptilian eyes. Well, Polanski should know, let's put it that way. All the way through history, you have this theme of possession and of fighting the snake or fighting the dragon and all the rest of it. That's the theme I'm talking about, and it's the software hybrid bloodline, which has led to hybrid people, possessed people, being in positions of power. So you look at the human level, but what's behind it? What's behind it? Now, I know something bloody strange is behind this bugger. I know from personal experience. Just very quickly, because I've told this story before. I was at a television, this is the 1980s, 1989. The Green Party, who I was speaking for at the time, had this one big election result in '89, the European elections, and I was asked to go along to Sky Television to comment as the results came in, because it was obvious we were going to do better than we've done before. And I go in to Sky Television, and I walk in, and they send me into this makeup room, and the door was open, and she leads me in, and I think the place is empty. And she sits me down, she says, someone will be along in a moment, and walks off. And as I turn, as she walked off, I'm looking down to my right, and there's Ted Heath, Prime Minister of Britain from 1970 to 74, the man who signed us into the European Union as it became. And he's sitting there, he's just been interviewed apparently, waiting to have his makeup taken off. So, you know, I looked at him, I said, all right mate, how you doing, all that stuff. Never said a word. He's staring at the mirror on the wall, and he just turned his body, his chair, and he looked at me, never said a word, throughout, ever. He looked at me with a strange look, and then his eyes started at the top of my head, and they slowly went down to my feet, and then went back again. Scanning me is all I can describe it as. And when he got back to the top, he turned, and he looked at the mirror. That was kind of strange enough, but when he was doing the scanning, his eyes went completely black. The whites, the bloody lot. I found this picture on the internet, which I think is done by some kind of contact lens or something, but it absolutely encapsulates what I saw. This total blackness. And what I was doing then, when I got into this stuff and I'm traveling around, I started coming across people who talked about these black-eyed people that they'd seen. I think, bloody hell, I've seen that. And I looked on the internet a few weeks ago. I did a little newsletter about this, and I found a number of references to people telling about their experiences of the black-eyed people. Now, when I looked at Heath's eyes in that black state, there was no point where I made eye contact with him. I was looking through him into something else. They were like two black holes. And then, of course, I've gone home to my family and said, you know, you never guess what's happened with me and Ted Heath tonight, what I've seen. But, of course, what is it? I have not got a clue. It's very strange. Then you get on with your life. But later I realized what I'd seen. I'd looked through into another dimension, to the dimension of the entity that's possessing this guy, or possessed him. And this is what is happening with so many of these fellas. Gold, he doesn't have to shift, does he? Cheney. You know, and so you're putting different people into power, but what you're putting into power is the same force. They only appear different because when you decode their 5 sense visible light level, they look different humans, but not necessarily so. And for me, a lot of these people are what I call sentient programs, or what the Matrix movie called sentient programs, because this is a digital construct on one level. Digital people can be put into this construct and appear to be just as real and normal as us, because it's just another hologram. It's just from a different source. So the woman in the red dress in the Matrix movie, which they put into a computer program, and she looked like anyone else, as if she was just a normal person in the street. I think those people exist, the more that I understand this. And some of these people could be them. The more that I look at this, there seems to be three types of people. There's the sentient programs, which are basically software programs playing out their program. And we're not talking about a PC on the desk computer software. We're talking about one that can interact and react and think for itself up to a point. Much more sophisticated. There's other people who are conscious, but their body conscious level is so dominant in the perception of reality that that's basically just a spectator. And then there are others, increasingly more as we wake up in this time that we're living in, that are actually multi-level multi-level connected, and those different people will see the same reality in a completely different way. So there we go, the red dress programs. And Neil Haig